Hi, my name is Andrei Osachuk. I am a digital analytics consultant. I started working with Adobe Analytics when it was Amateur Site Catalyst. I worked with Google Analytics when it was Urchin. I have worked with many companies from different verticals. And one of the questions I was often asked, which solution is the best one? Which tool the company should choose? And there is no single answer on this question, since the right choice would depend on a variety of factors specific for your company, for your business. At the same time, one of the key factors for me personally is how convenient it is to use this or that solution. And I decided to record a few videos to demonstrate you Adobe Analytics and Google Analytics in action. In this video episode, I will start with a business scenario and then continue with a side-by-side comparison of Adobe Analytics and Google Analytics, so that you will see how the solutions look, work, and which capabilities they provide. Let's get started. Short disclaimer: I do not pretend to provide a comprehensive review of Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics. This video is recorded just to show you how I am doing data analysis in the solutions, and you will obviously recognize my personal preferences. The scenario for today is the following. My digital marketing managers ran an on-site promo campaign last month, and they asked me to provide some high-level data about its performance. One question they asked was how much traffic they were able to acquire. The next question was they wanted to take a look at the daily trend of the traffic. Then they also wanted to know the traffic channels that contributed to the overall traffic volume. And they also asked me to prepare a breakdown by mobile and desktop devices, since they had a slightly different strategy to acquire those visitors. Before I dig into data analysis, just a very short overview about what you can see on your screens. In Google Analytics, this is the report that is called All Pages. And you see that it contains three major parts. On the top you have segments, and you are able either to add a new segment or select one of the existing segments. You can also change the date range for the report. Then you have a chart and a table with the data. On the right hand side, I opened one of the pre-configured templates in Workspace, which is called Content Consumption. On the top you also can select a date range, and this is called actually project, and it consists of several different visualizations, and I will be working primarily with the table that is very similar to what you can see on the left hand side. In the Pages report in Google Analytics, you can observe some values, and these values are originated from the site URLs. Basically, the part that follows after the domain name is stored in this report. And depending on how the URL structure is built, you can expect friendly names or vice versa. In this example, we can see that the page names can be read very easily, and they are built the way that you can recognize where the page is located. So for example, if you take a look at the fifth line, we see that the page is called Accessories, and this page is located under the top section, which is Google Redesign. In this case, everything looks great, but in some cases, if your page URLs do not match your site taxonomy, or probably, I know, site taxonomy is missing for some reason, and probably your page URLs do not have, let's say, friendly names. In this case, it may be a little bit problematic to work with such a report. Just be ready that by default, what you have after your domain will be shown in this report. In Adobe Analytics, the page names are built in a slightly different way, and you can see that they are written in a more friendly manner. And this is because every single Adobe Analytics implementation is done the way that architects and developers are focused on providing the very clear and convenient to use page names in the report. And from my, again, personal perspective, this is a much better approach because not only analysts but also business users can easily understand what the pages they are looking at. And you can also recognize that, for example, for the shopping cart pages, there is something like, again, hierarchy or taxonomy. So we have, for example, here in the table 3 shopping cart pages, and you can recognize that cart details, shipping information, and billing information are all the pages that belong to the shopping cart site section. This is the first difference between two solutions. Usually when you work with Adobe Analytics, you should expect something like that in the page names. And when you work with Google Analytics, you should be ready to work with the URLs. But this doesn't mean that this is the only way how the pages are reported. Now let's get back to our scenario, and let's agree that for the demonstration purposes, my page is called home. This would be much easier for me to show you how the solutions work. So the home page, and the first question is how to find this page. You can use the search box on the top, and you can enter some keywords and hit enter, and the values in the table will be updated. So now we see all the pages that contain home, but this is not what I wanted, and I can click on the advanced link and select the criteria for filtering the values. I will use exactly matching and will use the home value and click apply. And by doing this, now I will see the page that I wanted to find. And let's do the same thing in Adobe Analytics. I can click on this funnel icon and enter again the keyword and click apply. If I want to, I can also use advanced filtering options. So you can see the list also contains a lot of different conditions. So now we see the pages in both solutions. And the next question that I need to answer is how many unique visitors came to that page. In Adobe Analytics, you can see that we have a number of different metrics, and basically I will need to keep only the traffic metrics. We have page views, visits, and unique visitors. In Google Analytics, we also have a number of different metrics. You can see there are 7 metrics in this table by default, and we also have page views, but then the metrics are slightly different. Unique page views is something similar to visits, and simplistically you can say that if somebody came to one page twice during a visit, then you should expect 1 in the unique page views column and 2 in the page views column. And in Adobe Analytics, this metric would be called visits. Again, this metric is slightly differently calculated, but just for simplicity, let's agree that they're the same. And then in Adobe Analytics, you have unique visitors, so number of unique visitors who came to a specific page. So if you came to the page today, tomorrow, and yesterday, you will still see 1 in that column. In Google Analytics, we do not have such a metric in this particular table, in this report. In Google Analytics, that metric would be called users, but the users metric is not in this table. And unfortunately, it's not possible to choose that metric right away. You should be an advanced user to configure the table or the template for this report so that you will have some other metrics. And I would consider this a disadvantage, especially for new users who may not have enough experience and knowledge working with the tool. All right, so, but just again, for simplicity, let's say that we were able to find number of unique visitors in Google Analytics as well. The next thing is that I also want to provide my digital marketing managers with a visualization with a daily trend of traffic on that page. And the good thing that in Google Analytics the traffic is already there, and there is a selector that we can use. By default, we see that this is about page views. I can select another metric and the trend will be built immediately. If I want to, I can select the second metric, and for example, we'll select page views, and you will see, sorry, it was page value. But if I select page views, we see now two metrics as a trend line. And that's it, very easy. And let's see what we can do with Adobe Analytics. The trend line is missing, but just a matter of a single click. If I click this icon, the trend line will appear, and this is how it looks. The good thing about Adobe Analytics is that you can get rid of the metric that you don't need in the report. So for example, I can click this close icon and make it clearer for my digital managers, because when you ask to provide, for example, unique visitors, or just number of visitors who came to the page, you may not need to provide other metrics just to make it clearer, and you may want to remove them. Also, if you want to, you can reorder the metrics, and again, this is just as simple as that. And if for some reason you are missing the metric that you want to report, it's again very easy to do. You just can go to the panels, find the metric. For example, let's restore the bounce rate, and we can drag and drop it into our table. So now we have this metric available. Another good thing about Adobe Analytics is that you can visualize as many metrics as you want. By default, all the metrics that you have in the table will be shown in this graph. If you just want to visualize only one metric, for example, unique visitors, you can just click in the cell, and only that metric will be shown in the graph. And this is very convenient. If you want to select few metrics, then you select few metrics and they will be shown. For example, I will add visits, and now I can compare on the same graph a few metrics. In comparison to Google Analytics, in Adobe Analytics you have much more flexible visualization here, since you are not limited by two metrics. Another good thing about Adobe Analytics is you may already recognize these big white dots. And these dots show you that there was an anomaly. There was an outlier in your data set. And that's very convenient because you immediately can see that something probably happened on your site and you may want to investigate it. You don't need to guess. These dots will appear based on the statistical algorithms and methods that are working on the background, and as you see, they work immediately. Adobe Analytics also provides machine learning algorithms, and if I click that link, I will get a report that will help me to find out the causes of those anomalies. All right, so hopefully we were able to answer the first big question. Now we can see total number of unique visitors on the page where we conducted our campaign, and we were also able to provide a graph so that our digital marketing managers would be able to see a trend line. The next question I also wanted to cover: what if you would need to provide a breakdown by day, and that has to be provided in the table format, because when somebody is looking at the chart, it's helpful to understand the trend line, but what if somebody wanted to feed that data into other system, or probably share this with some other teams like agencies, because they wanted to probably use that for their own calculation. In this case, we would need to break down our total traffic by day, and let's see how it can be done in Google Analytics. We have this drop-down menu, which is called secondary dimension, and we can look for date, click date, and there we are. We can see that now in the left column we see the home page, and in the second column dates. And if we click on the date header, we would order our table so that it would be the 1st of December, the 2nd, the 3rd, etc. And that's it. Now the report is ready to be exported, for example, into PDF or Excel file. Now I will show you how to do the same in Adobe Analytics. I will right-click on the page name. We'll go to breakdown, dimension, and look for day, and select it. And my page will be immediately broken down by day. Another small but sometimes good thing for business users, the format of the days is easy to read. So now again, you can, if you want, export this in PDF format. The next question that I want to answer is, what were the traffic sources the traffic came from to this particular page? And I will continue with Google Analytics. I will go to, again, secondary dimension, and we'll need to look for traffic type. And I will select traffic type. Now you see that in the second column, instead of dates, now we have traffic channels. We have organic, which is search engine optimization, referral, third-party domains, direct or typed in, paid search or search engine marketing optimization, and some other. And that was easy. Let's do the same in Adobe Analytics. And again, this is just, let's say, out-of-the-box functionality. In general, if you want to have more channels, probably you need to configure the backend and you need to implement something. But I'm just showing you what is available out of the box. And I can go again to home and click the right button, go to breakdowns and dimensions, and look for referral type. And immediately can see the buckets. The first bucket is again other domains, then what is called direct in Google Analytics, then search engines and social networks. If I want to have a split between SEO and paid search, I can do that also quickly if I right-click on the value and again go to breakdown dimensions and look for paid search. I should see two buckets, natural and paid. Since in this particular account we do not have paid search campaigns, so I only see the natural, which stands for organic. You could already recognize that in this particular example I was able to break down the homepage by referral type and then by paid search. And paid search, in this case, this is the third level of the breakdown. And this is what you can do in Adobe Analytics. You can do as many breakdowns as you want. However, in Google Analytics, you are limited by the secondary dimension. And imagine that now you want to not only look at how much traffic came from, for example, other websites, but you also want to break this down by day. And the question is how to do that. In Google Analytics, again, you are limited, but in Adobe Analytics, you are not limited. And if I want to, for example, I can go to panels. This is another way how you can work with the data and look for day dimension and just drag and drop it to the desired value. And I will get full breakdown. That's great. And this is one of the biggest benefit of Adobe, because you are not limited. You have lots of different flexibilities working with the data. All right, so the last question I need to answer is how many visitors came being on mobile devices versus those who were working on desktops. And in Google Analytics, I again have to use the secondary dimension drop-down menu, and I should look for, I think, devices, device categories. And I will select it, and you will see 3 buckets: desktop, mobile, that stands for smartphones, and tablet. These are 3 out-of-the-box buckets that you can use. In Adobe Analytics, you can also build that report, and I will need to look for mobile devices. So I will use the search box and we'll select mobile device type and replace the referrer type dimension. And you can see a little bit more buckets. So we have mobile phone, again, this is for smartphones, tablet, this is what we have also in Google Analytics. You can see some other buckets that are not popular, and other. And we may consider other being desktop traffic. So in general, we have these 3 buckets, and this is as easy as it was shown. Now, let's say that I want to provide my digital marketing managers with some more information about how that campaign performed on the site. And I also want to show them not only a breakdown by mobile devices versus desktop devices, but also want to show traffic sources. And I want to combine this in a single report. What I can do in this case, I can get rid of the metrics that I don't need, and then get back to my search box and look for traffic referrer type again. But in this case, I will drag and drop it under the metric. And now you can see a good convenient table so that you can see total traffic from each channel, type bookmarked, other websites, search engines, social networks, and then it's broken down by mobile device type. If I want to, I also can add some more flexibility to this report for, again, my digital managers, and will show them a column with total traffic. And in this case, I will be using a segment, all visits. And I will drag and drop it again next to my segments. So now I have total traffic on the home page, and I'm able to see a breakdown by traffic sources and breakdown by mobile devices and some intersections. This is very convenient to prepare, and you can understand that that takes just a minute. And unfortunately, in Google Analytics, I will not be able to do something similar. And for example, another thing that I often use for analysis is, what if I want to see a trend line for a specific segment? Because actually now every cell is representing a segment. And in Adobe Analytics, I can do the following. I have a trend line on top, and if I click in a cell, I want to know traffic trend for mobile devices that came to the page, and I just can click in this cell and immediately we'll see a corresponding trend line. If I want to look at the same trend for example, other websites, I can do the same. And then I can compare, for example, how the traffic trend was for those who came from third-party domains versus search engines. And I can select two cells and immediately compare that. That's very, very convenient. And again, if I want to, I can export this in PDF and provide to my managers. So that was it about just a very short comparison about how you can work with the one of the most frequently used reports, which is called Pages report. And now I hope you've got some understanding of flexibility, capability of Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics when you need to answer quite simple question and provide a very simplistic report. And share in comments whether you like this or not. And basically, since I'm going to record a number of videos about this side-by-side comparison, if you have a specific scenario that you would like me to walk you through, also share this in comments underneath. That's it, and thank you for watching.